Roll has been taken. We have a quorum. Hopefully everybody received their packets in time to go over. Otherwise, I didn't get mine till yesterday, but I get the email on Thursday, and that was very useful. So if hopefully people have had a chance to peruse the agenda, and if nobody has seen any additions or corrections, I'd look for a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
So moved.
Second.
By Sebastian. Second by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Same thing on the, is that date incorrect? Or do I have,
It's October 21st.
okay, so why do I have my, does mine say, I have the October 21st.
It's the meeting minutes for October 21st.
Okay. I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, October 21st.
So moved.
Motion by Brad. Second by Laura. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Minutes are approved.
I think the motion was Kurt. You said Brad.
Okay,
Second by Brad.
okay. Motion by Kurt, second by Brad. Okay, is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda? Hearing nothing, hearing no one, look for a motion to open the public hearing. I have got paperwork issue here.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to open the first public hearing.
Okay, motion by Jenny,
Second.
second by Kurt to open the public hearing. Matt?
Vote.
Need to vote.
Need a vote.
Need a vote.
Okay, sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is open.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a conditional use permit request for Rock Arch Rapids on the south branch of the Wild Rice River. The applicant is the Wild Rice Watershed District, landowner Earl Hodson. So this is located between Felton and Ulen. It's about 2.5 miles north of CSAH 34. It's on the east side of County Road 110, which is 190th Street North. The property is residential, ag, and rural vacant land. There's a farmstead with 2 outbuildings. The zoning on the property. Base zoning, agricultural general, with overlay zoning districts of resource protection aggregate, and then shoreland special protection and floodplain fringe. So the request is the installation of a rock arch rapids structure on the south branch of the Wild Rice River. The intent of this structure is to stabilize an eroding reach of the river and reestablish natural channel grade, improve fish passage, and restore floodplain connectivity. So the project details are to excavate and place approximately 5,000 cubic yards of material, which would just be riprap, boulders, backfill, and then construct a series of rock weirs across about 330 feet of the channel. There's erosion control measures included in channel as well as out of the channel. No impervious surface would be created. There would be approximately a little over an acre of area disturbed during construction, and they'd be looking at avoiding the fish spawning periods, so no in-channel work between March 15th and June 15th. So this is kind of where it's roughly going to be on the the river right here. There's going to be construction access roads built in here. The reason why this triggered the need for a conditional use permit is we do have a standard in our floodplain ordinance where if you're moving more than 1,000 cubic yards of fill or other materials, a conditional use permit is necessary. This would be moving about 5,000 cubic yards. We have not received any comment from the DNR, the public, or the township on this request. How this request would relate to our comprehensive plan. We do have a goal for floodplains to foster a community resilient to the impacts of flooding through targeted mitigation planning and implementation, coordinating with FEMA and the DNR. This is a cooperative flood mitigation initiative. It supports our flood resilience goals. It also supports those of the Wild Rice Watershed District. We have a goal to protect and enhance the health and vitality of surface waters and maintain and enhancing areas of public waters, especially within the shore impact zone, and also to recognize the surface water goals and implementation actions of both the Buffalo Red River and Wild Rice Watershed District's comprehensive watershed management plans. So this project will really enhance riparian stability and function, reduce erosion, restoring grade, dissipating stream energy, improving aquatic habitat, and these are all consistent with that Wild Rice Watershed District Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. I should say that also this does not, based on the engineering work by Houston Engineering, who's the district engineer for the Wild Rice Watershed District, this is not anticipated to have any up or downstream flooding impacts, looking like it would, based on modeling, only raise that by about less than a half foot, about 0.46 feet. Anything over 0.5 would trigger the need for a conditional letter of map revision. So and further study on that. So this is below that threshold. Any questions for me at all?
Is the applicant or a representative for the applicant here and care to speak?
Jerry can explain it much better than I can, so.
State your name for the record, please.
Sure. Jerry Bentz with Houston Engineering. I work as the district engineer for the Wild Rice Watershed District. So I think Matt's done a good job of covering it. I'd certainly answer any questions. I would say that the Watershed District has a master plan along the South Branch to help try to deal with the erosion through there. This is really the first of a pilot site of what we'd like to be 14 of them over time through the ridge, going up the ridge, really all geared at trying to address the substantial erosion that's been seen in past years, try to protect property through that area, and also try to keep the banks there and not having the sediment move downstream to fill the channels below. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd just answer any questions that you or the board has.
I just have a comment. I'm glad you guys are here and glad to hear that you have more in the books at this being kind of the pilot, see how it goes on the South Branch of the Buffalo.
Mr. Chair, I do have a question.
Go ahead, Dave.
Can you describe in very basic terms the genuine purpose of the project? It talks about reestablish natural channel grade, improve fish passage, and restore floodplain connectivity. Can you talk a little bit about that? And if is this just one of many along this little river, or you talked about these other places that would be a need for it as well?
Yeah, I definitely can. So along the South Branch, so where the South Branch sits kind of at the county line there, the river channel downstream of there was straightened back in the 80s by the Corps of Engineers as part of a flood control project. After that straightening happened, like in a lot of streams, if you straighten the river below, it tends to cause a head cut to go up the river. So basically the channel tries to deepen going upstream. We are right at the base of kind of the beach ridge there. So that deepening has moved upstream as the channel then downcuts in that area. The banks become really steep, they start to collapse in, and then all of that sediment continues to move downstream. So that deepening became super evident after the 2002 flood, because that was the really large flood through that area. a lot of bank erosion, a lot of down cutting happened through that time. So really the goal of this site, along with the 13 additional sites that would happen ideally between here and Ullin, would be to bring that channel bottom back up to closer to the elevation that existed historically before the downstream straightening would happen. That really will allow the river to connect back into the floodplain there, so we get some habitat improvement there. For the watershed district, I think they just see it as, you know, water quality, not having the sediment downstream, because they're responsible for maintaining the channel downstream of there, and it becomes expensive to pull the sediment out of that area. So that's really the goal.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or comments for Gary? Or Matt? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone in the audience that would wish to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this project? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this project? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Brad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. Okay, we will now go through the findings of fact. The conditional use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of residents of Clay County. This is a great project. This will reduce turbidity all the way to Winnipeg eventually, in a small fashion. The conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. This project, when done, in my opinion, will actually increase the value and the enjoyment of other property owners. The establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. It will not. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, off-street parking, and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. Access for construction has been already determined. Not really gonna make any changes there. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. These projects are highly regulated, and there are measures in place to prevent any negative impact. The conditional use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, sewers, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved. And it will not have any impact on those uses at all. The conditional use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. It will have, or will be fully in compliance. The conditional use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of a township or city as may be applicable. And this aligns with the county comprehensive plan to, make things less prone to flooding. The Wild Rice Watershed District has done a good job of protecting and making things better, and this will just be an enhancement. So does anybody have any questions or comments on this proposed project? Hearing none, look for a motion to grant the conditional use permit or deny it.
Mr. Chair, I do have some suggested conditions as well.
And you are right. Okay, sorry about that. No construction will begin, on the conditions that staff and Matt have come up with. No construction may begin until all the permits are obtained. No in-stream work between March 15th and June 15th to protect fish spawning. All BMPs in the approved SWPPP must be implemented and maintained until final stabilization. Project shall not cause a cumulative increase in BFE, and I'm not 100% sure myself of what all these stand for, but
Base flood elevation.
base flood elevation exceeding at 6 inches. Post-construction as-built verification may be required. All the bank work and routes will be seeded and mulched immediately after construction. The Wild Rice Watershed District will be the responsible party for long-term maintenance and monitoring of the structure and structures. And temporary access routes shall be restored to pre-project condition upon completion.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Mojo?
Thank you. All of these suggested additions have been communicated to the watershed, correct? I mean, this is within typically what, the requirements are. Wonderful, thank you.
So does that count as the official question? Does the applicant understand and able to comply with all the proposed conditions?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Mojo, yeah, the conditions that Matt had listed there are certainly fine and consistent with what we currently have in the plan, so.
Thank you. Now I will look for a motion to confirm or deny or any additional conditions or
Miss-
removal of conditions.
Mr. Chair, I'll offer a motion to approve the request with the conditions 1 through 7 as proposed.
Motion by Commissioner Mojo,
Second.
seconded by Kurt. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Conditional use permit is granted. Thank you. It's nice to see a project going in for the wild rice in Clay County. Second hearing is Corey Simonson, Concrete Holdings LLC, a request for an interim use permit. The applicant is seeking an interim use permit for a concrete plant on the proposed Lot 1, Block 1 of the Optrel subdivision. Currently, parcel ID number is 19.017.4200, part of the northwest quarter of the southeast quarter and the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter, Section 17, Township 139, 138N, Range 48W, Kurtz Township. Look for a motion to open the public hearing.
So move.
Motion by Brad, seconded by Laura. All those in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Take it away, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is a request for an interim use permit for a concrete ready-mix plant and associated with that aggregate storage. So this is located approximately 3¾ miles south of Moorhead. It's on the east side of US Highway 75. Current land use is agricultural. The base zoning is agricultural general. There is just a little tiny bit of floodplain fringe or flood fringe in the southwest corner of the property. So with this site, it is classified as prime farmland. It has crop equivalency ratings from 67 to 73 throughout the property. The focus here again is on this 10-acre parcel. And there are no identified wetlands on that parcel. Surrounding this site, the closest residence is approximately a quarter mile to the north. There's another residence that's about 0.44 miles to the west and then 0.45 miles to the southeast. There was a concrete ready-mix plant that was permitted in 2011, renewed in 2021, about a half mile to the north of this proposed site as well. So this is a site plan showing all of the, showing the proposed location of the plant and with our setbacks essentially from our code in here. So this red is the quarter mile setback, and then there's a 1,000-foot setback. That's really hard to see, and I apologize for that. So some background on the project. The applicant did request rezoning to highway commercial and plat for future development. This was originally denied by Kurtz Township. The plat was resubmitted, which Kurtz Township did approve. That's consistent with our county's requirement that townships grant preliminary plat approval prior to county action. And then just this morning, you all approved the preliminary plat, and then this morning, the county board approved the final plat by a 4-1 vote, this morning. And just a note here, because this parcel would be sold to Concrete Holdings LLC, only if the IUP is approved. The IUP must become effective only after staff verifies that ownership transfer, as required under our development code for interim use permits. So getting into the project, so it's a 10-acre parcel, looking at an 8,000 square foot structure, which would enclose that primary batching equipment. There'd be an 80-foot tall silo that would be adjacent to that building. Impervious surface on this lot would be about 65, just over 65% of the lot, either the building footprint, driveway, gravel, staging areas, and then concrete as well. There is a stormwater pond. It's just under an acre wet basin. It's designed for water quality and quantity control, and then access from US Highway 75 for a commercial approach. That's a permit pending from MnDOT. Again, as I mentioned, the nearest residence is a quarter mile to the north. Their site design does include vegetative buffers consisting of Colorado and Blue Hill spruce. For dust and noise mitigation, enclosed operations in the building, bag house, residential backup alarms for trucks, and then dust control as well. Lighting would be downcast. No lighting of the silo should be required by the FAA, but they should probably submit a request to them. Usually it's a 200-foot request for, or requirement for lighting. This is at 80, would be at 80 feet. But just with an airport and a couple airports in the vicinity, it'd be good to request that. Their requested hours of operation, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday. There'd be a seasonal reduction from December to April. Looking at about 50 trucks a day at peak and then 15 trucks per day off season. They're requesting a 20-year duration for this IUP. Water would be supplied by a private well that'd be dug to around 225 feet. They're estimating about 750,000 gallons per year. The MPCA requirements for a water appropriations permits are 1 million gallons per year, or 10,000 gallons a day. and they're looking at maybe 3,000 gallons a day as an estimate. The septic would be on site. They'd have to get stormwater permits from the Pollution Control Agency, MnDOT, as well as the Buffalo Red River Watershed District, and an air emissions permit would be required from the Pollution Control Agency. We did receive some comments. An update I received this afternoon from MnDOT, a turn lane will be required for this project. Ultimately, though, that's up to the traffic engineer discretion, but they did have another meeting this morning about it. Initially, a turn lane wasn't going to be required, but now they're saying, yeah, a turn lane will be required for this project. Kurtz Township is formally opposed to the use. They cited incompatibility with the agricultural district, concern over future commercial or industrial expansion along Highway 75. We have received multiple public comments from residents and landowners expressing opposition, traffic safety risks with increased truck movements, the potential for the use to generate noise, dust, traffic and lighting nuisances, corridor planning conflicts as well, and then drainage and runoff concerns. There was a petition also that was created on change.org. It has, last time I checked this afternoon, 137 signatures. We can't verify the names and address of that, but I believe that there is a copy available from the organizer of that petition. We did also receive a letter of concern that basically addressed all of these comments that I would also enter into the record as well for that, from an adjoining landowner. Our extractive use standards for asphalt batch plants and ready-mix cement plants, they're the same. Essentially, this request, looking at it, would meet all of our setback standards in our code, similar to the batch plant to the north, which also meets all of the setback standards as well. From our comprehensive plan, we have a land use agricultural goal category. We have a goal to recognize and protect the ag character of Clay County, to protect prime ag soils from commercial, industrial, residential development. This property is used for ag production. It's within our ag general zoning district. This is an allowed use within that zoning district. This would convert approximately 10 acres of prime farmland to an industrial use, would remove that from production, would partially conflict with that. You could consider 10 acres to be minor, also located along a highway frontage location that already experiences over 1,600 daily trips of traffic every day. We have a goal to encourage the commercial and industrial development that is in harmony with the ag and rural character of Clay County, and to promote value-added ag, commercial and industrial development in ag service areas and along transportation corridors and hubs. So this would be a use that would benefit from one of the major transportation corridors in Clay County. There could be some impacts to township roads because as material moves from primarily the eastern part of the county to market or to where it might be processed, local township roads do get utilized. And in some cases, it has an impact. In many cases, has an impact on those. We also have an objective to avoid or mitigate against commercial or industrial development that increases potential for land use conflicts with rural residential or ag uses. This site design does incorporate a lot of mitigation efforts into it. There is commercial and industrial use that's established or will be established to the north of this. It would introduce an industrial activity within an area that has been predominantly characterized by ag and rural residential uses. And there's been a number of concerns raised by Kurtz Township and neighboring residents that indicate that some of these perceived land use conflicts remain, particularly traffic safety, visual, noise, compatibility with ag character of the surrounding landscape. We also have a goal to promote the incorporated communities of Clay County as prime locations for commercial and industrial development, and encouraging those uses to locate within our incorporated communities. The applicant did try to locate within the city limits of Sabin and Moorhead when it's not successful in finding a location. Any questions for me at all?
Okay, hearing none, would the applicant or John care to speak?
Good evening. My name is John Lowry. I'm with Lowry Engineering, and here on behalf of the applicant, Corey Simonson, who's also here, and the landowner, Steve Opatro, is present as well if there's questions of them. Again, I think Matt did a great job of recapping what was submitted, and I guess I would just point out that, you know, we're hoping to be here to work with the county and with the neighboring residents. When a landowner has a property, they have a right to use that property until it infringes on their neighbors, right? The right to use and enjoy that property. And it's, as Matt kind of ended on, it's been difficult to find a parcel of land that putting a concrete ready-mix plant was sufficient in location. There was and Corey can get into that, but there's locations in Moorhead and Sabin, and I think other locations as well that were examined. And I know property to the north in the subdivision that we brought before you for industrial and commercial was considered for this. And because of the proximity to existing residences and also just the size of the property, the platted lots there, they were not sufficient for a concrete ready-mix plant. And that's why this location was chosen, for its access to Highway 75, which is of a concern. It was sufficiently located to the county standards for setbacks from existing permitted uses. It's compatible with the proposed uses that are in this area. As Matt said, there's industrial, commercial lots that are planned immediately to the north of this. And there's an existing ready-mix plant within a half mile of this property that's been operating for, plus or minus 15 years. And I think the exception here is that this property is properly located and sized to allow for the proper compromises, if you will, but the proper improvements to make sure that it isn't as much of a nuisance to the neighboring properties. Standards were put in place and requests have been made through, the county updated their ordinances here in 2025, and I think was very deliberate and intentional about the requirements that they put in place for locating batch plants and locating concrete ready-mix plants. And this property is sized, this proposed location is sized in order to achieve those things on this site, whether the screening standards, making sure there's not light nuisance off-site, sufficient spacing so that noise nuisances don't occur. Those were all things that were considered and deliberately reviewed in choosing this location. And so I guess as we come before you, the point would be we all use concrete. We drive on it every day. Most of our houses probably has concrete in it. And competition in the construction industry is a good thing for all the residents of Clay County. So I would argue that we need competition and we need concrete ready-mix plants in Clay County. And if we're going to have concrete ready-mixes plants in Clay County, we should have standards that we live to in locating those where it's now deemed that that is a reasonable use of that person's property and their right to enjoy it, And that's what we've tried to do, is follow the county's lines and requirements so that we're not too much of a nuisance to the neighbor, not a detriment to them, but reasonably using the property that is owned. So if we're not doing that, we want to know that and understand what that standard is. And if it's, we just can't have them in Clay County, then we need to know that as well. if it's, you know, it needs to be X feet or, you know, provide these additional compromises regarding, you know, whatever it may be. But I think the application before you does handle all of the engineering questions. If there's any specifics that come up, I'm happy to answer those, but we're more than happy to work with MnDOT in any improvements that are requested. We're going to follow all water use requirements of the state and any thresholds that they have here. We're certainly going to comply with all stormwater discharges and not pollute. We can't build if we're going to pollute the downstream. You know, anything that humans do to somewhat is polluting, but there's reasonable standards that are put in place for the use and enjoyment of your property, and we're going to follow all those standards when it comes to all the engineering pieces of this. So it's not a technical issue that's before us tonight. It's, are the standards that were put in place reasonable for locating a concrete batch plant? And if not, what are the standards that should be in place so that we can live by those standards and operate a concrete batch plant that benefits the community and benefits everybody that's in this room tonight? So if there's any specific questions for myself or, as I said, the applicant or Steve Opatrail, the owner, we'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on behalf of this project? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against?
Laura Knoll.
Please come to the mic, state your name. You are limited to 3 minutes.
My name is Laura Knoll, and I come from a long line of, it's a family farm of 5 generations, the Walkers. They own quite a bit of farmland in that area that butts up right up to where this is right now. I was responsible for the petition, and we have 140 some names, and then also Dale, who lives right in the area, went around and got hand signatures from the people that were unable to go online because they just didn't have access. So I have hand signatures from them as well. So here's a copy for you. And I'm just concerned for the fact that I brought that up this morning too at the meeting, that just the vision for where Moorhead is growing. And I see on the Fargo side, they have Briarwood and Fargo Country Club, and they have churches and schools and green space and parks. I just see so much. This is kind of pigeonholing more of the commercial, industrial, and this beautiful farmland, and there's family farms out there that have been there for generations, and I'm just sad to see the direction that this is taking. There is already a concrete batch plant there, which seems to be adequate, that it should be serving our area. Now to double up, it's really kind of setting a precedence of what is to come. And I'm afraid that that's going to start to take over this valuable farmland that has been coveted for our area for so many generations. So I guess I speak to the behalf of that I just feel like we should protect that. And again, give it the due honor and respect that it deserves, because it's been supporting this community for all these generations. So I don't live out there personally, but I have family that do. And the noise, the pollution, it's going to just, their quality of life, even the traffic is going to be a factor for them. So I guess I'm speaking to that as well. The other farmers that are in the audience will talk to that it'll affect them directly, and I'll let them talk in their own behalf. But mostly I really hope that Moorhead can look at this as an opportunity to grow in a more positive light, and that we can reflect what's on the other side of the river too, and that we can grow our community to represent, I guess, the agricultural community, and then I'm not against the growth factor, but just to kind of keep up with what's already happening in Moorhead and encourage beautiful developments like Tessa's Terrace, and we have Blue Stem, and we have other things that draw people in, and I feel like that is more my intention of where I would like the farmland to go to as well. And just the traffic, all of those variables, so, thank you.
Dale Schlofeld, sorry.
Dale Schofelt, 9216 14th Street South, Moorhead. I'll be about half a mile away from this development. Me and my brother own 33 acres there, and we're outside all the time when we're home, working garden and lawn maintenance and stuff like that. And all the noise is just, right now it's over there, it's all the beeping and from the other plant, beeping from the trucks and banging of the tailgates shutting, and it's quiet mornings, you can hear it in the house some mornings. And then all the traffic that'll be going by I live on 90th Avenue, basically. It's a gravel road. They claim they won't be using it, but you know they're gonna use it. They did when they did the substation. They rebuilt the substation last 2 years, and they were using it nonstop with gravel trucks. And it's a narrow gravel road, steep ditches. It's just, you meet them on the road and you literally gotta stop and let them go by. And then the noise issue, obviously, with the track holes, when they're track holes and excavators going and dozers pushing the gravel around, beeping. And then the water issues are some concerns too. 750,000 gallons a year, that's a lot of water to be pulling out of the ground. I know as of right now, I have 2 neighbors that have had to re-drill wells because they've ran out of water. That's a concern of mine too. I guess the noise is the biggest thing for me, noise and the traffic. So, thank you.
Paul Bannerman.
My name is Paul Bannerman. My family owns the farmstead directly to the north of the proposed plant, it's approximately a quarter mile away. To follow up on a lot of stuff that's already been touched on, the noise is one of the biggest concerns we have. Starting at 5 o'clock in the morning, do you want to be woken up by backup alarms and trucks banging tailgates and jake brakes and such, making noise when they're trying to stop and coming into the yard to deliver materials, not just the ready-mix trucks, you're gonna have delivery trucks for the materials, your gravel, your cement, and all the associated with that. The lights, I don't care if you have 80-foot tall lights, you're gonna have a lot of expanded area where it's not just gonna affect the individual property, it's gonna affect the surrounding neighborhood. You're ruining your peace of life, your quality of peacefulness at night, during the day. You wanna be able to enjoy your time, enjoy being outside, and not having to listen to that and see the pollution. You're gonna have dust from the trucks coming in, from the gravel, from the making of the ready mix itself. There's just, as much as you try, there's just no way of preventing it as far as I'm concerned. I just don't see an end all where you can eliminate it. It's gonna seep into the neighboring properties, it's gonna seep in my parents' farmland or farmstead that's there currently, they're living there. Dad lived there 84 years, family's owned it 85 years right there, directly north. It's gonna affect their property values. Who's gonna wanna potentially purchase a home if my family chooses to, in the future, sell it when you have 20-some trucks coming in every day, all day long, the noise from the traffic. You know, the increased traffic around us is already getting to be a lot with the ready mix and the gravel storage right directly north of my parents. There's a lot of noise with that continues now. Do we really want to drive more noise in the area? I have concerns with environmental. You're not just the water usage is going to be extreme because as Dale Schofeld touched on, neighbors are already running out of water. The directly adjacent to my parents' land, they had to drill 3 different times before they found water just for small usage that they would need just for a garden because it's just a storage shed. You add 10 to 15,000 gallons consistently coming out of there, where is it gonna come from? Is it gonna affect people that are currently living there? Are they gonna not have water for their needs? We're potentially putting a growth of this plant over human life. If you don't have water, how can you survive to live there? Are we gonna have to truck in water just for the basic needs, even just to flush a toilet? Are we gonna go to town and purchase water for that, let alone trying to, for drinking water and all of the usage? You're gonna have the chemicals that are needed in the process of making this concrete. That's gonna seep, it's gonna go everywhere. Spills happen, there's just no way around it. You're gonna destroy potential prime agriculture farmland. It's been stated. It's been farmed for many, many years. My grandparents farmed it for 30+ years, if not longer. It's been a tremendous opportunity for farmers over the years, and continues to be to this day, that we're taken out of production. That as our city and area grows, we need these productions. We can't keep taking valuable farmland away from this.
I
And
need you to wrap up, sir.
I'm sorry. And just, the washouts with the leakage and the seepage and that is, so. As a family directly affected by it, we are vehemently opposed to this. Thank you.
Cameron Knoll.
And then just a reminder that you are limited to 3 minutes at this point in the hearing.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Knoll, son of Laura Knoll. As stated, I'm going to be that possible fifth generation to own that farmland. And I see that just having a direct impact. I actually come from a background in manufacturing, and so I feel like I can attest to the fact that there is a lot of potential runoff, and there's fumes, dust, everything that comes with that. It just will affect the area in some way, and that's just an inherent hazard of being in manufacturing or in a production facility such as this. I guess I would also question if there is one plant, we are seeing that potential increase for more trucking. Where is the need coming from? I understand that concrete does provide a lot for the area, and it's necessary for a lot of home building and other construction. But I guess I would be curious on the actual projections of that kind of need. Even just questions of like relocation. I know it's been turned down in various different areas. And in light of that, I guess I would wonder why we should be having it in this close proximity, even if it is competing. And then I would just, again, would agree with most of the prior concerns. That's all.
Thank you.
Dan Moore.
Good evening, Dan Moore, 8046 14th Street South, Moorhead. I live in the northeast corner that ties into that property. I'll do this so I keep it to a fair amount of time. Anyways, to reiterate, they've said a lot of different things here, but like they said on the trucks, okay, up to 50 trucks. You take into account that where they haul their sand and gravel and concrete to the existing sites already. Then you add stratas into that, and there's going to be a tremendous amount of trucks and traffic. Reiterate the noise, 5 a.m. I've lived out there since 1966 when my parents first bought that place, and we built next to it. Who regulates it afterwards? I mean, you move out into the country, most people do a lot of things that would never get away with uptown. If you had a house, there would be one farmstead per 40 acres. We're not trying to stop him from developing his land. He just got a permit for 13 buildings to put on that land. We just don't want heavy industrial out there. There's a big difference between commercial and heavy industrial. Devaluation of our properties. You can't tell me it's not going to drop our property values after all the years we've worked there and lived there. to keep things up and keep things neat. So, I don't want to bring up the other things that the other people have done, but that's just some more of the concerns that it's a very big concern for us out there. So, thank you for your time.
Evan Knoll.
Hello, my name is Evan Knoll. I am currently studying biochemistry, and I have participated in research on wastewater treatment for soil contamination for the past 8 years. So speaking to that, I have seen that spills happen no matter what preventative measures are put in place. You can only do so much to prevent this, and I would say that increasing the density of these heavy industrial plants in this area is just going to increase the risks associated with all of that. And I would say the best way to prevent this would be to limit the access. So preventing this would allow the best environmental protection for this area. And I would agree with Kurtz Township that I don't believe this development is in line with what this area currently is and what it's zoned for, which is heavily for agricultural use. These concrete plants are well studied to have increased emissions that will acidify soil and decrease nutrient availability, which will result in lower crop yields, as well as many other impacts on the community that have been addressed previously. So ultimately, I would just say, if this is to proceed as proposed, I would request, and I know many others in this audience would appreciate, if we were able to perform an environmental impact study to truly analyze the current impacts of the plant in the area and to look at the validity and possible risks that are associated with further development. Thank you.
Brian Lyseth.
Brian, excuse me, Brian Lyseth, Leiseth, 4372 110th Avenue South. I'm a township supervisor for Kurtz Township, have been for, 35 years. I was involved when the other plants went in, back when it was Myro's chicken plant, and it was converted to commercial. And at the time, it was said that they would plant trees, make them nice, would only run certain hours, and they've exceeded the hours. There's nothing planted. It's not. Both of them are eyesores. The township has always had ag preservation as one of its goals. And I'm also opposed for the same reasons that many have spoken about. It's the traffic, and devaluation of the future property values, and I'm totally opposed. This is the first time that someone has come back after something has been turned down that I can recall. But that's all I have to say.
Rob Roberts.
Good evening. My name is Rob Roberts. I live at 7776 Highway 75 South. So I'm the first house north of 80th. When we went through this in the spring, I wasn't getting notifications. So I don't know if I'm entitled to get a notification for this one being farther south, but it's kind of a sore spot for me, considering there aren't that many residences out there not to be included in it. Number two, when they address the concerns about the noise and the light and all the problems with the plant, I hear it all the time, because I'm that first owner-occupied house just north of there. We hear it, we hear the speakers, they're on the loudspeakers. It's not very enjoyable to have your windows open early in the morning. Number three, I'd like to know about the environmental impact on the aquifer. Like everyone else, I just put in a well not that long ago. My old well failed. I went 10 feet deeper, but should I have gone 20 or 30 feet deeper? if I'm doing a rough guess in my head, it's like 14,000 gallons a day, I think, is what they're doing, 365 days a year on an average. Obviously more impactful during the operating season. What's that gonna do to the aquifer? Will there be water for the rest of us? Has anyone looked into environmental impact on that? Anyone have a response? Who do I go to find out this? I guess this is just falling on deaf ears?
So, Mr. Chair, one thing that the DNR does conduct is they do well interference studies. They could certainly do one for this proposal.
Don't we think that'd be a good idea to protect the existing homeowners in the area and farmers and everyone else?
I guess you're looking for debate. This is not a debate.
Not a debate,
This is
just
a
wondering if,
public hearing. You are given 3 minutes to state your case. And
all right, my time's up.
Thank you. Anyone else or online that wishes to speak for or against this request? If you would like to speak to this, you come to the podium and state your name.
Hello, I'm Corey Simonson. I'm part of the ownership group for Contech. I'd just kind of like to explain kind of how we got to where we are in this property. Obviously, we looked at several different sites within Clay County that did not work based on some of the county zoning ordinances and stuff like that. So we chose to choose a property. We kind of worked backwards from the guidelines that obviously you guys have approved. So that's kind of where we work backwards from. I mean, we met with Matt. We looked at this property. It met all the requirements. It's, off a main highway, which is a benefit. It's designed to handle the traffic. There's no real close neighbors in proximity. We're on the downwind side from the prevailing winds. I mean, we really tried to limit the impact that this would have with the residents. And I do realize that there's an impact. I mean, that's inevitable. But I mean, the reality is that Moorhead is going to expand. I mean, obviously, I understand that it is farmland. But I mean, all this farmland is eventually going to turn into something else. I mean, I realize it may take some time. But I mean, so we are very choosy about why we chose this site specifically, I guess. In the water usage, just reference, obviously there's some concerns. Just to put it in reference, 750,000 gallons is equal to about 10, 12 houses a year. Is that right, John? Based on the average water usage. Dust control, the truck routes, obviously we're going to utilize the main highways that run north, south, east, west for what we're looking at doing. Noise complaints, I don't think, in talking with, even when we talked to the township about this, I don't think there's been any noise complaints or anything with the existing concrete plant that's there. So I think some of those, obviously this is new and it's, there is, more potential there, but I think we're gonna do whatever we can as property owners to be good neighbors. Obviously we feel that there's a need that needs to be met within the county. So we think this is a good location, so.
Can I ask a question? Are you part of the ownership group on the existing batch plant?
On the existing one?
Right.
Nope.
So I'm curious as to when you said there hasn't been any noise complaints.
Like when we
How
brought
would
up
you
to, like when we went through the township stuff, and talking like Matt or anybody, nobody's ever brought up any complaints about anything, traffic, noise or anything.
But what I'm saying is, like, how would you get notified of any of the noise complaints existing?
Just going through, just listening to the people that are involved in that area that, if they've received complaints or anything from any residents or anything like that in the past. Thank you guys very much.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Quick, before we go out of the public hearing, so, Matt, can you talk a little bit about what that well interference study is? We've not talked about that at this piece. Is that something that has to be landowner driven, or is that something?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Mojo, it's typically a landowner requested study that's done.
But
and
that's an after,
typically
after a development
Yeah,
piece.
typically,
If
yes.
there's
Yep.
a disruption in water, then
Yeah,
they
and
request that?
Most of them kind of revolve around like just irrigation for crops, uses that are already maybe have a groundwater appropriations permit as well. They typically do those studies beforehand. They have those thresholds for permitting. But if there are concerns that are under that, yeah, that's when that could be requested, and it is typically landowner driven.
And so what's different about the EAW that was referenced because of they don't meet the threshold of what the estimated usage is, and that's why that doesn't trigger the beforehand blanket study?
Correct. Wouldn't meet any of the mandatory thresholds for a environmental impact statement or an environmental assessment worksheet that are set in state rule.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay. Hearing no further questions or look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Sebastian, seconded by Brad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. Okay, we will go through the findings. The interim use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the residents of Clay County. The interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted.
I think
There is some,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
go ahead,
I'd say based on the testimony, I think there is some disruption that's noted.
I would agree.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Mojo, would this kind of portion of the draft findings kind of address what you were thinking there? Or is there anything, again, these are your findings, anything you want to add or change? This is just solely based on information that has been received prior to the hearing with the public testimony and then the, also the additional information provided by the applicant from this hearing. Those should be incorporated into these findings as well.
Is there, later on, are we identifying the water piece?
Yes. Now, I suppose I could even go to this last sentence as well.
Okay, so we're,
Dave has
okay,
Mr. Chair and Matt,
second?
has your office been made aware of any formal complaints from the previous mentioned batch plant close by?
I have not, and it did go through 4 years ago a interim use permit renewal, and I don't believe we heard anything then. I'm assuming that's quite possible that we will be hearing in the future, but I have not to this point. This is the observations brought today, and as a result of just this this application are new to me.
So the other batch plant, are those hours roughly what they are requesting for this one?
They're very similar.
Very similar, okay.
I think theirs might be 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So they might actually be less restrictive.
Okay. The establishment of the interim use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. So the not reciprocal means that they can't, the plant couldn't expand, but people could build closer?
If they chose to, yeah, correct. Yep. Like we're in, for example, in our code, we do have some reciprocal setbacks related to like wind energy systems, feedlots, and they're explicitly defined as reciprocal setbacks, and these setbacks are not defined as that.
Anybody have any proposed changes or? Okay, moving on. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, off-street parking, and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. There is a lot of hoops that they will need to jump through for this, and you said just today, MnDOT came up with a widening of the road and a turn.
Yep.
So I believe that statement to be true.
Mr. Chair and Matt, so maybe it's too early to know what the MnDOT is proposing, but are you envisioning a turn lane for those coming from the south and in the center turn lane for those coming from the north with a bypass to prevent traffic backup or stoppage?
So, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Steichen, I can't speak entirely to MnDOT beyond the information that they've provided me, being that this road and the right-of-way is completely under their jurisdiction. All that they've indicated to me is that according to their traffic and road specifications, that a right turn lane would be required. A left turn lane would not be required. Just a right turn lane. So heading north.
Wouldn't the majority of the traffic be coming from the north and returning north?
It's possible, but again, and MnDOT
it's
might
beyond
have some
our-
additional requirements as they continue to review the permit, the access permit, but that's all that the information that they provided me.
Yeah, it's very early, so.
Yeah.
And it would make sense that a lot more traffic is gonna be turning left than right because of where the business is going to be occurring. But that's,
The only thing, Mr. Chair,
That would constitute a significant road improvement if you add.
yeah, and the only thing that I could say, Mr. Chair, is that the thresholds for a left turn lane are significantly higher than a right turn lane. It has to be a significant amount of traffic.
adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. Washout water is contained on site. Lighting will be directed. You know, there really is nothing you can do, I don't think, with the backup alarms. Those decibels are set by the federal government. I mean, they've got to be a certain decibel. I mean, and when the wind is right or no wind, and on it, you will hear them.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, the only other thing that I could think of with that is that there are some gravel companies that do utilize like a white noise backup alarm, which is significantly reduces that sound that carries. And so that could be potentially something to look into as well as a mitigation practice.
Thank you. The interim use will not cause an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or propose to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved. There has been public testimony concerning about the water. They've already had some wells that have been re-drilled or had to go deeper. However, they are below
Is that something that
thresholds.
the commissioners would like me to add to the findings, the public testimony about water
Yes.
concerns?
I think there was also concerns brought up in regards to the 90th. What are the additional haul routes?
Testimony.
Does that meet your, what you wanted? Okay, thank you. The interim use is allowed by this ordinance, conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. Paragraph covers everything, I believe, there. The interim use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of a township or city as may be applicable.
there's concerns on the comprehensive piece in regards to ag land.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner, Mojo, that is noted here, as well as the Kurtz Township.
Okay, any further discussion on the findings of fact?
Mr. Chair, and Matt, am I correct in that an interim use permit is not a land use?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Sykin, an interim use permit is a land use permit, but it is not a land right.
Land right.
Yep. So there are a variety of things that could trigger the, I guess, the termination or revocation of that permit. Number one being a violation of conditions. The threshold is typically much lower for an interim use permit than it is for a conditional use permit for condition violations. A date, 99.9% of the batch plants, ready mix plants that are in rural Clay County have a set date that they terminate, including the one to the north. It ranges from 1 year to 5 years to 10 years. The only one that doesn't have a specific date is the plant that is on the Spring Prairie Hutterite colony. That is the only one in the county that doesn't have a specific termination date.
Okay, thank you. Staff has gone through and they have come up with 13 possible requirements, conditions. The IUP shall be effective only after Clay County Planning and Zoning verifies that the Apatro subdivision plat has been recorded and the property ownership has been transferred from Stephen Turia to Concrete Holdings LLC. Number 2, abide by the provisions of the Clay County Land Development and Subdivision Ordinance. 3, all necessary township, state, and watershed permits, MnDOT, MPCA, Buffalo Red Watershed District shall be obtained prior to operation. 4, vegetative screening shall be planted and maintained around the perimeter as shown on the site plan. Number 5, all washout and process water shall be contained and recycled on site. Dust management plan, applicant shall submit a written dust control plan, including sweeping, watering, and baghouse maintenance prior to operation. All exterior lighting shall be full cutoff and directed downward, no glare beyond property lines. All operations shall comply with the MPCA daytime noise standards. Hours of operations limited to 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday and 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday. No crushing or processing of raw aggregate or recycled is permitted on site. And I have a question on that. So the cement that comes back that they dump out, they can't crush that? No.
And these are suggested conditions, so it'd be up to you as a planning commission if you want to,
Okay, but is
if you
that,
decide to, yeah.
okay, that's what that actually means, okay. Truck access limited to paved roadways, no access via township or gravel roads. Annual review of complaints regarding dust, noise, lighting. Additional mitigation may be required if verified.
And Mr. Chair, there was a typo on that last one. It should be 2035, not 25.
Okay, because I was kind of.
That would be a
short.
short permit.
The interim permit shall expire on December 31st, 2035. Okay, so, anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chair and Matt, the last one, they requested a 20-year IUP. Is this 10 years more of the typical, or is that a negotiated?
It would be more typical.
Okay.
It's probably on the longer end of typical, but yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions or suggested changes or modifications?
So, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I just want to make sure that, with your findings, if you feel like any of these findings cannot be addressed through conditions, that should influence your decision. So if you can't make a positive finding, or if you feel that there is a finding that can't be mitigated by conditions, that would be your basis for, if you were to deny a permit, you would need to have your reasoning stated in your findings. And that.
Okay, so I have a question on number 11. So they would abide by, their trucks would not use the township roads, but that wouldn't necessarily affect if a different company is hauling in raw materials from coming and using the gravel roads, because there wouldn't be any enforcement or oversight.
It'd be difficult to enforce. You could likely have a condition that all trucks, including third-party operators, and you could even be specific about the roads too. So if 90th Avenue South is a concern and 80th Avenue is a concern, you could be specific about those roads.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. So I have a concern in regards to the groundwater. This board has denied permits in the past. One particularly was basically a storage building that would not utilize any water consumption. And we denied it because we were concerned about the effect of the aquifer. And now we have a proposal that is, potentially utilizing a significant amount of groundwater with residents within, a decent amount of area. I mean, I just don't know how we mitigate and or anticipate what that could look like. And I look back at the time on this board, I don't know if we've ever had a request to utilize a substantial amount of groundwater like this with so many residences close by, to look back on how it affected residences. Do you recall anything?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Mojo, we've had concerns about gravel pits in the past with dewatering, either if it's just pumping or just natural dewatering via evapotranspiration. The previous Strata, now Knife River facility would probably use comparable amounts of groundwater. I certainly could work with the DNR and the applicant to gather more information if groundwater use is a concern, which it sounds like it is.
I think it's important for folks that maybe don't live in that area to understand that there are residences by Rusted, which is just south of this site, that have had to go a quarter of a mile to half a mile into a field to get water. and they're less than 2 miles from the Red River. And so I think just because the site is close to the Red River, the assumption that you have a substantial amount of water available is not necessarily the case. And so I just don't know how you mitigate an issue when you don't know that piece.
Mr. Chair, what, and Mr. Jacobson, what was the roughly estimated, like households, you know, say it's 750,000 gallons is roughly, didn't we say like 12 homes?
Yeah, 10 to 12 homes.
8 homes? So if there was a subdivision, you know, possibly around this area, would that, you know, we do the same thing for that? Which
On a,
could
but
happen.
is that on a single well, though? That's the difference.
That would be probably 12 wells, which it's drawing from the same aquifer.
Yeah, and really just a pump.
I'm just trying to justify, or how many wells, it's all in that same aquifer, whether it's 1 or 15, you know, it's still drawing. That's,
Yeah, and I think we would just do that, just looking at well data, or doing a pump test. But in terms of long-term, that would require further study.
Okay, would anybody like to add or retract or modify any of the 13 proposed conditions? Okay. Hearing none, has the applicant reviewed those 13 conditions, and do you understand and could you live with, work within those 13 conditions?
Other people online.
Can you please go to
Could
the
you come up to the
microphone?
podium, because
I think in regards to the crushing, typically what happens on a site like that is material is hauled in, you know, recycled material, it's stockpiled, and when it gets to a certain quantity, normally crushers come in and crush it. It's not like there's continuous crushing there. It's maybe once a year, once every 2 years, just to recycle the material that's there. That is a pretty integral part of the business. In regards to number 13, the interim use permit to 2035, I know in speaking with Matt, the plant just to the north, and Matt, you can verify that, I think you guys just approved a 20-year interim use permit extension on that one as well?
Yep, and that's correct, and that's because that plant had already gone through a 10-year permitting process, so it had basically had the, you know, if there had been substantial concerns about it after 10 years, it's a renewal, essentially.
and he initially
Not a
was
first.
not given a 20-year permit.
No.
Right, and our request for the 20-year permit is due to us putting up a facility. Obviously, you know, for the amount of money that we're gonna spend, having a 10-year permit doesn't do us a whole lot of good. And obviously, if there is, you know, something that we're not doing correctly and our interim use permit can be canceled, you know, I guess I fail to see the difference between a 10 and a 20-year. I mean, if we're complying with everything that we're supposed to be doing, you know, obviously a 20-year benefits us. You know, truck access, obviously we're gonna utilize main highways. I mean, we don't wanna drive across township roads, obviously unless there's material that's gonna need to get delivered there. so I don't have any issues with that. Probably just the crushing and the interim use permit, the time period expiration would probably be the biggest items. And then I guess the hour operation, I guess if ours could mirror whatever the existing plant is to the north, I think that's only fair. Other than that, I guess my concerns with the conditions anyway.
Okay, well, I understand and agree with his concern with the crushing, because, you know, that does, you know, I've worked with Coast and other plants where it's, you hit it hard for 3 or 4 days, once a year tops, and again, you're not crushing rock, but it is loud. But I can see that. I am stuck on number 13, though. I do like the 10-year permit. So, does anybody, and ask again, anybody have any conditions they'd like to modify or to add?
Mr. Chair and Mr. Jacobson, does the existing plant north of there have a crushing? Are they allowed to crush?
They do crush, yeah.
In hearing that, it seems like it's a short time, a few days. I understand the value in having that option available. And maybe I'm not sure if the hours would mirror the normal operation. If it's incredibly loud, I suppose you could restrict the hours a little bit.
Okay, so are you proposing an elimination of condition 10 and a modification to the hours of operation?
I suppose it's hard to know how many days you would be crushing, essentially. You have to.
Need to be at the mic.
Yeah, I would say on average, maybe once a year for maybe a week to 2 weeks tops. I mean, it all depends. If you want to, I think when you were talking about limiting hours of operations, I think you're referring to the crushing if it was on site, not the actual, yeah. I mean, and that would be fine, and obviously, if it was limited to, 8 to 4 or whatever normal work hours for the crushing, I guess that would be acceptable. I guess I would request that the hours of operation at least mirror what the Knife River interim use permit has on their hours of operation, general operation anyway, just to make it fair.
I like the fact that maybe you're not crushing at 5 or 6 in the morning and 8 o'clock. I mean, I could live with that.
Okay, are you willing to make a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I would like you to put some wordage in there about the crushing option, and I don't know, he mentioned 8 o'clock. Mr. Simonson, I don't know if that's exactly what he wants, but 8 to 5.
Okay, so we have a motion to mirror the operating hours to the Knife River.
No, we don't have a motion.
Okay,
Oh, he just put in a
Just a
condition.
suggestion to change this.
no, we're not, okay.
There be a restriction on, would you propose a restriction on the dates on that for no more than how many days out of the year?
It's at 2 weeks.
10 operating days. Okay.
And then, Mr. Chair and Mr. Jacobson, the number 12 on my list, but yeah. Now, can you walk through the process if there is a issue, violation? I mean, how does the process work for everybody to understand it?
Yeah, if we receive a complaint, we investigate it, we confirm the validity of the complaint. We bring it to the operator or the person who's holding the permit, give them an opportunity to rectify it. If it's something that continues to happen, we would bring it to the permit back to the board, to the planning commission, and have a public hearing on revoking the permit.
Answer your question?
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Well, looking for a motion to,
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Mojo?
thank you. I'll make a motion to deny the request because of the conflict with a comprehensive plan in regards to agricultural land and also the inability to mitigate the water.
Okay, we have a motion to deny the permit,
Second.
second by Sebastian. Any discussion, further discussion? And I'm gonna say before we vote that I am in agreement with Jenny for a few different reasons. The biggest one for me is Kurtz Township, the local government, not being in favor of this project, along with the local. So, all those in favor of denying the permit, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we need a roll call. Sebastian?
Aye.
Brad? Josh?
Aye.
David?
Just to understand the,
An aye is a vote to deny the permit,
okay, nay. Nay.
and I'm denying the permit.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay, it didn't actually count, but I believe there are more votes to deny than to confirm.
It'd be 5-3, Mr.
5 to
Chair.
3.
Okay.
Deny.
Okay, the conditional use permit is denied.
Interim use permit. Interim use permit.
IUP, sorry, the interim use permit is denied. Thanks, everyone. Moving on to the next hearing. It is Stephen and Deborah Eckery, request for an interim use mining permit. The applicant is seeking an interim use mining permit for a gravel mine on parcel ID 13.032.1000, the northeast quarter and the east half of the northwest quarter of section 32, township 139 north, range 45, Hawley Township. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing? Motion by Laura,
Second.
second by Sebastian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, this is a request for an interim use permit for a gravel mine. The applicant is representing the landowner, Stephen and Deborah Eckery. So this is a 160-acre parcel, 1¼ miles southeast of the Clay County landfill in Hawley Township. Currently, it's an agricultural parcel. Zoning, base zoning is agricultural general. There is resource protection biological overlay zoning on the west extent of the parcel. Existing site conditions, there's some prime farmland. Most of it in the mining area would be that crop equivalency rating of 61, so that farmland of statewide importance. There's native prairie and also wetlands, specifically kind of a rare seepage type wetlands. Not necessarily calcareous fen, but potential, and then native prairie as well. And so you can kind of see that here. So we got the shrub, swamp, seepage, and then the wet prairie here. So for the mining overview, they'd be looking at construction grade sand and smaller quantities of gravel, be using it for base aggregate backfill and general construction purposes. There could be some limited potential for class 5 aggregate as well. They'd be extracting typical mining practices, stripping and stockpiling along the they would utilize the northern extent of here for create a berm just for screening because there is a residence to the north. Material would be mined using a front end loader and removing sand and gravel from shallow deposits about 15 to 20 feet deep. Excavated material would be stockpiled, screened, or crushed, and crushing would occur intermittently for short durations, typically a few days to a week. No washing or dewatering would occur. Stock material would be stockpiled on site. They would haul the product off site, basically up 200 Street South, and then up to County 12, and then the landfill road, so County 23. So following kind of the existing haul route of the mine to the southeast. And they'd use dust control measures, water, magnesium chloride. Looking to operate April to May through to October through November, looking at 30 to 50 working days per year, depending on market demand, looking at a 6 to 7 p.m. time frame, Monday through Saturday. Have 2 workers on site, would have sanitary facilities available, and then service trucks to refuel equipment if needed. Groundwater was not encountered during the digging of test pits, 12 to 15 feet deep. They are not expecting any discharge because stormwater is going to be directed towards the center of the pit, would percolate naturally. Progressive reclamation as mining advances northward with each mine phase would be restored using that stockpiled topsoil, really looking at having only 10 to 12 acres open per phase. No permanent water feature would be anticipated after reclamation. The only comment I received was from Holly Township, and Holly Township would require a conditional use permit from their township for this mine. Just an additional consideration, the original request is for a 40-acre mine. Just looking at the application, looking at the depth, that would trigger the threshold for a mandatory EAW. The applicant did do an EAW, based on the resource protection biological on the property. We determined that was not needed. Probably the quickest way to get around this would be to only permit 39 acres instead of 40, if that would be agreeable to the applicant. The comprehensive plan, and looking at how this relates to the comprehensive plan, we foster and have a goal to foster a balanced approach to aggregate resource extraction that is compatible with natural resources and rural character of Clay County, requiring adequate buffering for new mines and expanding mines. This operation would be over 1,000 feet from the nearest residence. Our minimum setback is 500 feet. They would construct a berm along the northern edge for screening for visual and noise impacts. And then they basically limiting that seasonal limits at 30, 50 days. And then having the weekday hours reduce is that nuisance potential as well. We have a goal to avoid or mitigate against impacts to groundwater, surface water, native prairie woodlands, wetlands for new or expanding mining operations. This is going to be all upland cropland. No wetlands were identified or native prairie within that mining footprint. Again, no groundwater was encountered, and the pit floor would remain at least 10 feet above the water table. The concern, I guess, and this was a concern on the mine just to the south when that was permitted, is just that Audubon Prairie Preserve with that that potential calcareous fen and just the type of wetlands there. They rely on water that's groundwater flowing into the wetlands from the east. This site, though, does have some considerable relief on it, so there's a separation in elevation from looking at the eastern part of the property to the western part of the property. And then there is going to be a 100-foot setback from our resource protection biological zoning district as well. They're not anticipating any dewatering or washing, so that eliminates some further potential for groundwater impacts and subsequently or consequently wetland impacts as well. And then also the fact that there's not going to be a water feature or any open water anticipated as a result of this mining as well. So any natural dewatering the risk is limited there. We also require phased end reclamation plans and bonds to ensure mines are reclaimed as mining progressives. So the applicant, they plan on just having 10 to 12 acres at a time. Our minimum bonds that we typically require is about $1,000 per acre. And looking at returning it back to cropland as well. And then looking at the cumulative impacts of existing nearby mining operations, we got a gravel pit to the southeast, shares the same haul route up to, it should be County Road 10, sorry, and then County Road 23. Did speak with our county engineer about this and potential impacts, and he had no concerns about the haul route. Any questions for me at all?
Mr. Chair and Matt, it might be sized down to 39 acres, incorrect?
That would be my recommendation.
Now, even though that's 160 acres they have, is it going to be 39 acres now, or is it a rolling 39 acres?
It's 39 acres, yep.
39 acres, period.
Yep. Unless they come back for, say, in 5 or 10 years and they've hit the 39 acres, there is a 3-year look back for environmental review. So you don't necessarily have to take the previously open, they would basically just have to amend their interim use permit to allow for more acreage. They couldn't just do it themselves as that issue has come before this planning commission in the past. But if they came back and amended their interim use permit, and say they only mined 10 acres the previous 3 years, they could potentially do another 29 acres if that was available. Or they could do that additional acre. They would just need to amend the permit.
But each 39 acres would be like a separate individual permitted. It's not gonna, if it's touching or connected, it doesn't qualify.
Well,
Will it
it's
still
the
qualify?
3-year look back rule with the environmental review that really would trigger that. So like the mandatory threshold would not be met for anything that is old, that has been mined older than 3 years.
Okay.
So that's why my recommendation would be to just set the limit at 39. If they get to 39 acres and oh my gosh, all of the really high quality gravel just happens to be in that 1 acre, but they've been mining it for, 5 or 10 years, they could just simply come back and amend that interim use permit to add that additional acre.
Okay, anyone have any questions or additional questions for Matt? Hearing none, would the applicant care to come up and speak to the project? State your name for the record, please.
My name is Bruce Squires. I'm a retired Minnesota State licensed geologist. I've spent, about 50 years in the sand and gravel, ready-mix concrete and asphalt business. I even crushed rock in Vietnam. So I really like this project in that we have rolling, if you will, environmental regulations, or I don't know what you want to call it. Just we're going to reclaim as we go. We'll open up like 10, 12 acres, and then as they move into the next 10 or 12 acres, that first area is going to be resloped, and the topsoils that have been stripped off the project will be put back in that area so that the people that own the property, the ECRIs, can continue to continue to farm those areas. So in the many years I've made permits and things, I've never actually run across one just like this, and I think it's kind of unique because it's not just going to be a big hole, it's going to be a smaller hole, it'll remain a smaller hole, and it'll be reclaimed so that the equerries can return back to farming it, you know, as the mining progresses to the north. So the area is in the area where there are a lot of other sand and gravel mines. The whole area is rich with that type of materials. On the Equerries property, I think it's a little more sand than it is gravel. And Dave Asplin of Asplin Excavating and Sand and Gravel, who is here tonight, is the gentleman that's going to mine the property. And he's really looking for good, high-grade fill sand. And as I suppose most of you know, with all the clays in the river or in the lake bottom, Fargo and Moorhead, you have to have good quality sand to put under most projects because of the expansive nature of the soils of the clay in the lake bottom. So if you don't pack things like pipes and fiber cables and all this kind of stuff with sand as your backfill, you know, after you've excavated a pit, you're going to have those products break because the sand's going to expand and break them. So with the sand, you eliminate that problem. So a good grade of, you know, construction sand is very needed in this community. In fact, if you didn't have good quality sand to buffer the expansive clays underneath, a lot of projects would just crumble. So it does have a very high need. And as I said, it is in the area of many other pits. Mr. Asplin has been in business in this community for, I don't know, what, 50 years, Dave? Many, 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 many years. He's highly respected in the business, and if he says he's going to do something, he does it. And that's how he stays in business, because it is a competitive industry that he operates in. So, and again, as I said, this turned out to be kind of unique with the rolling, if you will, reclamation process. So, for the last 30 years, I've worked for Agard Industries and then Northern Improvement. And my responsibilities there were property manager, geologist, and the environmental compliance officer for both those companies. And the way Dave has it laid out, this is actually, I'll just say this, it's kind of environmentally friendly because of the rolling reclamation and the fact that he does business in that form because he lives in this community. You know, he's not managed or owned by somebody in the cities or whatever. So he behaves. So, any questions?
No? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Squires? Anyone else in the audience wish to speak for or against? Anyone in the audience or online wish to speak for or against? And one last time, anyone in the audience or online wish to speak for or against? Hearing none, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So offered.
Motion by Jenny,
Second.
seconded by Brad. Laura? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. The interim use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of Clay County. This looks like a good project in a good area. The interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. It will not. The establishment of the interim use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. I like the fact that they're publicly stating that they'll do 10, 12 acres and then move to the next 10, 12 acres and they immediately reclaim. So, you know, farmland, wildlife habitat, everything will, there won't be a 39 acre hole in the ground. You know, that's very good. Is that, have I done three?
Yeah.
Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, off-street parking, and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. They'll be sharing a township hall road. County engineer has no issues with it. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. No open water, I mean, the interim use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or propose to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved. The interim use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. The interim use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of a township or city as may be applicable. Okay, there are 17 conditions. 10-year permit. Operate within our ordinances. All brand, the applicant is, or the operator is very familiar with working in Clay County. I guess number 8 is, you know, to, just to, so everybody recognizes that we are looking at approving 39 acres. Okay, well, 38 works even better than 39, so. All mining activities must occur at a minimum 10 feet above the groundwater table, and if that would be a different permit to come in if you hit water and needed to do some, but you're.
Yeah. And Mr. Chair, just on commissioners, just an explanation on that. It's just mirroring a lot of these conditions are mirroring similar conditions to the recently permitted gravel pit just to the southeast.
This is, yeah. Okay. And including 17, that, I know we were working on.
I think that would be probably the one difference just based on, I know that the planning commission has expressed, or has not only expressed, but basically stated that operating hours for all newly permitted or renewed mining operations be consistent across the county.
And this does reflect that?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody on the board wish to comment on any of the 17 conditions? Does the applicant and operator understand and able to comply with? Okay. Hearing nothing further, look for a motion to deny or approve the permit.
Chair, I'll motion to approve conditions 1 through 17.
A motion by Brad to approve the permit with all 17 conditions
Second.
as provided by staff. Second by Kurt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. IUP is granted. Thank you, everyone. Next on the list, Victoria Luck, request for an interim use permit. The applicant is seeking an interim use permit for a dog boarding kennel on parcel ID 26.018.0201, part of the government lot, section 8, lot 1, section 18, township 138 north, range 45W, Scree Township. Look for a motion to open the public hearing.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Josh,
Second.
second by Sebastian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public hearing is open.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is a request for an interim use permit for a kennel. The applicant is Victoria Luck, the owner are Richard and Lisa Burns.
What are we doing back here? Oh. Can we, sorry, it's just distracting.
All right. Sorry about that, Mr. Chair. This property is a 12.4 acre parcel. It's about, this is wrong information. I'm sorry. It's residential. It's in Scree Township, just north of Barnesville. The base zoning is agricultural general. The overlay zoning is resource protection aggregate. Some details about the project. The kennel capacity, looking at an average of 20 dogs, maximum of 40, be new construction, insulated runs, sound absorbing materials, indoor climate control, be an outdoor exercise area that's fenced, be looking at a 6 a.m. drop off to, and looking at outdoor activity being limited from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. For noise mitigation, that'd be the building design insulation. There is a significant separation from the nearest residence, 600 feet, looking at existing and enhancing the vegetative buffers, just restricting the outdoor activity during quiet hours. For waste management, they'd have solid waste collected daily and stored in sealed containers, removed by a licensed hauler, and then locating that at least 100 feet from wells or septic systems. The use would be a minimum of 100 feet from all property lines and wells, and then just noting that reviewing this, it does maintain or exceeds the standards for kennels found in our code. We have not received any comments from the public or the township. Again, just with our the IUP request that was heard for the concrete ready-mix plant, just with being an IUP, because this would transfer ownership, that the IUP must become effective only after that ownership transfer has occurred and is verified by planning and zoning staff. For our comprehensive plan and how this proposal relates to our goals and objectives, we have a goal to recognize the diversity of living in small scale. It's a rural business. It would be compatible with the surrounding residential and ag uses. We also encourage commercial and industrial development that is in harmony with the ag and rural character of Clay County, and to avoid or mitigate against commercial and industrial development that increases the potential for land use conflicts with rural residential ag uses. The applicant in this case has incorporated noise mitigation, setbacks, vegetative screening, as well as distance to reduce any potential impacts on nearby residences, of which there is, I think, just one. So, any questions for me at all?
Okay, would the applicant care to come up and speak? State your name for the record and.
Hi, I'm Victoria Luck, and I just wanted to mention that the seller of the property is family to the neighbor that's to the north, and they allowed me to, they gave me his number, and I gave him a phone call and let him know what I was planning to do, and asked if he had some concerns, and he just said that just no barking dogs late at night, and otherwise he's happy with it. So I just wanted to mention that I did that little part there. So And that's,
And you are intending, or you live on site, or you?
no, so we are, this permit is contingent on us closing. So we would close on Friday and then, begin planning. We would build in spring. We're not gonna do anything over the winter, but, yeah, we live in West Fargo. I have, worked at doggy daycare as a handler and, like a kennel technician. And then I also own I've ran my own pet sitting and dog walking company for the last 5 years. So, which has been successful. I was a safety coordinator for a contracting company that worked on the wastewater treatment plant. So I kind of know a little bit about disposing of waste as well. So that's kind of would be a big concern. And I'm going to live there too, so I don't want to be bothered by the kennels either. So, yeah. Thanks.
Anyone?
Yeah, there is a home on the site, on the property, and then so we would live in the house that's there, and then we would build the kennels there's that like shelter belt there, and then there's some trees starting to grow, so we'd put the kennel kind of up on that, so mitigate the noise, and then put some more trees around it too.
Yeah, trees are very effective for noise mitigation.
Yeah.
Josh?
I just have a question or two, maybe. So this is just gonna be like a daycare and boarding kind of situation, no grooming services or anything like that?
Yeah, so we would do the initially, yes, just grooming, or I'm sorry, just boarding and daycare. I would like to do grooming down the road, but if that's a not, if you oppose the grooming, then that would be no problem.
I'm just curious about the traffic kind of.
Oh, sure.
If it's strictly gonna be, morning drop off and evening pickup, or if there'd be daily in and out or whatnot.
Yeah.
Then how big, I guess, maybe you already said, how big is the dog run or fenced area?
So, I mean, I guess I kind of wanted to work with you guys. So what I was thinking was to start out with a 30 by 40 building, and then doing probably about the same in a fence on the outside of it. They wouldn't have their own individual runs though. They would all be indoors and then let out with staff.
It would be common play area?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and Matt, for Ms. Luck's venture here, would it be beneficial, because I know a lot of dog boarding places incorporate many other services. Does that substantially change your request if those were included right now? Or are those could those be attached? I mean, whatever you might be feeling you would like to do, or would you need to come back for that?
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Sykin, no, that wouldn't impact that. She wouldn't have to substantially change if she wanted to do grooming or anything like that, unless you specifically stated no grooming as a condition. But typically, when we look at dog boarding, we kind of think about all of those, services.
I wasn't sure if she didn't want to ask that question, so I asked it for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. When you did, I was like, yes, because we're gonna start here, in that I would like to grow, but when I worked at doggy daycare, when we had 80 dogs on a holiday, that's insane. No, thank you. And frankly, I don't want the liability either. So I'd like to grow, but I don't want to be huge or anything. But with dog boarding, they do get kind of stinky, so to send them home clean would be nice.
Thank you. Hearing no other questions, anyone else? Thank you for coming up. Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Laura.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mojo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. Go through the findings of fact. The interim use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of Clay County. Everything is handled there. The interim use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. Nearest resident is over 600 feet away. She has reached out. The hours, permitted hours, cover anything that I would anticipate. The establishment of the interim use will not impede the normally and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. This is exactly what, one of the things that we're trying to promote in Clay County, so. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, and off-street parking, and loading spaces as required by this ordinance. They still have to follow all the rules, and they're easily, very easy to find out what the requirements are gonna be, so, I have one question though on the, be probably for Matt, on the septic system for the kennel. If you're gonna be doing, any kind of, washing or bathing, you're gonna need somewhere for that gray. Will she be required to put in, and is a second septic allowed?
Mr. Chair, a separate septic would be allowed. I know Kent is on the line, and maybe he could speak to that.
Kent.
Hello, yes, this is Kent here. Yes, in regards to that, there are a couple of options. One is that there is a holding tank that is designated for that location, wherever those plumbing fixtures may be. Another, I can't speak for sure on this one, just kind of going off of memory from a few years ago. I believe there was some discussion with the state on dog waste into the septic system, and if I do recall, I believe that was more or less allowed, but I don't want to say that for sure. But overall, there are options available.
Okay, thank you. And it's important that the options be available and the applicant understands the potential cost. Okay, and no new public utilities. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to the neighboring properties will result. Daily waste collection is a requirement, and they're gonna be living on site, so that's, you're gonna do that. The interim use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved. This will be, personal automobile travel. It's not a, gravel trucks or semis or Jake brakes, cruising up and down. The interim use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. It is consistent. The interim use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any other comprehensive plan of a township or city as may be applicable. Okay, staff has developed 8 conditions, and one of them is something we're familiar with. This wouldn't take effect until a property transfer, because this is going to, would be specific to her. Maximum number of dogs is 40. Hours of activity, of outdoor activity, are 7 to 9. 6 a.m. drop-off is very common. Noise mitigation measures described in the application. She's got insulated building, limited outdoor use, vegetative buffering shall be maintained for the duration of the use. She also mentioned she was going to be planting more trees. Solid waste shall be collected daily, stored in sealed containers, and disposed of by a licensed waste hauling service in compliance with applicable state and county standards. And Kent also said that it's a possibility of septic tank, holding tank. There is the outdoor play area shall be fully fenced and maintained in good condition to contain all animals. The IUP shall terminate upon cessation of kennel operations or a transfer of property ownership, whichever occurs first, unless otherwise renewed in accordance with 8-11-8. The operator shall obtain and maintain any other permits or licenses related to animal boarding as required by state or local authorities. A thing to keep in mind with where you're putting your, potentially putting your building is where your well is. You'll need to maintain 100 feet from the pens? Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chair, the applicant does have one question, and she can.
Please, yes, I will allow, absolutely.
So when I came up with my numbers, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought that number should be, that 40. What if, I don't want to get in trouble if I have 41 dogs, so how many dogs have you seen or the applications go for?
Can I be frank?
Yeah, well, for me.
I'm only permitted for 25. And we've been in business 10 years, and nobody's ever came and counted dogs.
Okay.
I mean, holidays happen.
Right.
So,
Okay. When I submitted, I asked that, and they're like, well, you guys will discuss it. They may say you can do this many, you may say more or less, so I just didn't want to get pigeonholed right now on 40 if.
I would say you'd want to be close, though. I mean,
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I'm thinking about 5-10 years from now, if I built another building, well, let's say if I built another building in 5-10 years, would I come back and apply or amend?
you would ask for a modification of your IUP because you're still it'd just be a modification because you're still the landowner, you're still the business owner, because that IUP is to you.
Okay, cool,
It's not to the property.
got it,
I mean, while you and the property are together.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, she could certainly, in 5 to 10 years, ask for a amendment to her interim use permit for that.
Thank you.
It's a simple process, but yeah, that with, 20 kennels and 40, that, doubling up, so that's, 40 is a good number.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess that takes care of the question. Do you understand and will you be able to abide within the 8 conditions that we have on there? Anybody else have any questions or comments for Matt or for the applicant? Hearing none, look for a motion to deny or to approve the permit with the 8 conditions.
Move to approve.
Motion by Sebastian to approve.
Second.
Second by Kurt to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. IUP is granted. Congratulations, you just bought yourself a job. Next hearing is Timothy and Jane Nephew, request for a conditional use permit. The applicant is seeking a conditional use permit to convert an accessory use to a principal use on parcel ID 24.002.1800, the fractional east half of the northeast quarter, section 2, township 138N, range 44W, Park Township. Look for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Sebastian, second by Brad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is open. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, this is a conditional use permit request to convert an accessory use to a principal use. This property is located northwest of Turtle Lake, and it's about 3/4 of a mile east of County Road 37. It is rural vacant land. There is a small shed and hoop structure that were placed on the property in the late 1990s. A lot of zoning going on this property. Base zoning is ag general. There's also general floodplain, resource protection, biological, and shoreland special protection. So the request is to construct a roughly 1,200 square foot building, just using it for personal use and storage. There wouldn't be any electricity or utilities. The one thing that did come up with this is just looking at Nest Lake and its receding and rising water levels throughout the years and where the proposed building is going to go. This is kind of a blend of 2013 and 2025 imagery. This blue here, get over here, this kind of shows where the water was in 2013, and then this is its current level today right here. And the structure would be kind of roughly in this area right here. Had extensive applicants or discussion with the applicant. He's aware of the water levels and is confident that the placement would not be susceptible to future flooding. We'd just be looking at probably with shoreland rules, placing it about 3 feet higher than what the water level would be, which in this case would be about 1,347 feet above sea level. You can see from the elevation contours here that there is a pretty significant, it starts to rise pretty significantly here, so I'm confident that that's not going to be an issue at all. With the comprehensive plan, again, with our goal for protecting ag areas, wouldn't take any prime farmland out of production. With our shoreland goals to reduce development pressure in natural environment lakes, this would meet all applicable shoreland regulations. And then we also have a goal to protect and enhance remnant tracts of native prairie and forest for the benefit and enjoyment of Clay County residents and visitors. So this is in that resource protection biological overlay zoning district. There's maple basswood forest community, mixed emergent marsh. This would occur in an area that was classified as previously disturbed land. Might be a good idea just to have a wetland consultation before placing the structure. And that might just be a simple like desktop review or site visit. So any questions for me at all?
No, it looks it's good.
The only thing I'd like to add is just to thank the nephews for their patience tonight. I really appreciate it. I apologize that these hearings have gone so long. So thank you for your patience.
And now if Anybody else have any questions or comments for Matt? I had some concerns with the distance, but, you know, it takes a lot of water, you know. And it's, you know, for, say that 2013 level was a 100-year floodplain. I mean, there's a lot more water that's gotta go before this gets wet, so.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I know the applicant has owned the property since the 90s and so would be able to speak to any, about the water levels as they've varied throughout the years.
Hearing no other questions for Matt, would the applicant care to speak to the merits of their project?
Hi, I'm Tim Nephew. This is my wife, Jane, back
Okay,
here.
please state your, come up to the mic.
Sure. My wife, Jane, back here. I'm Tim Nephew. We had a property for 30 years, roughly. It's a storage shed we're going to put out there. It says no electricity, but we have a standing electricity out there, but we'd probably run electricity to the shed, so. Other than that, it's mainly going to be used for storage. The wetland location, the overlays, and Matt, if I talked to him a little bit about this too, is that was the, you know, the aberration, really, that was the years of the, if you all remember, Turtle Lake rose, everything rose all those years. And talking to the neighbors who have lived there, you know, 75 years, that has never been like that before. We don't see it coming again. I haven't seen it rise. It's done anything but just gone down. And I'm probably a little bit further west even from where that is. So, and the elevation kicks up quite a bit. So I'm not concerned about flooding or anything through there. So other than that, any questions you'd have for me?
Well, you took care of mine. Why would you build that storage shed and not be able to turn a light on?
Yeah, well, that's right. Okay, thanks.
After waiting 2 hours, it's the least we can.
I'm just glad those people weren't here to object to me is what I was concerned about for a minute there.
The Turtle Lake posse. Okay, is there anyone online or in the audience that wishes to speak for or against this project?
Jim Sheridan.
Online that wishes to speak for or against? Third time, is there anyone in the audience or online that wishes to speak for or against? Hearing none, all those, look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Laura, second by Kurt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed. The interim use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of Clay County. Oh, I've got the same thing, but it's still the wrong. Here we go. Timothy and Jane, yep. The conditional use will not be injurious to the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of Clay County.
Mr. Chair, I did just modify that draft finding to include the electricity. Just now, on the screen.
Okay? The conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purpose already permitted. Establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses predominant in the area. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, access roads, drainage, and off-street parking and loading spaces as required to this, by this ordinance. Adequate measures have been or will be taken to prevent or control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, water pollution, and soil erosion, so that none of these will constitute a nuisance, and to control lighted signs or other lights in such a manner that no disturbance to neighboring properties will result. The Conditional use will not create an excessive burden on current or anticipated public infrastructure or services that serve or are proposed to serve the area, including but not limited to parks, schools, public safety services, roads, water supply, sanitary sewers, and storm sewers, unless the county and the applicant establish a development agreement that determines how such impacts will be resolved. The conditional use is allowed by this ordinance and conforms with any specific use standards established in Chapter 8 as may be applicable. The conditional use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the Clay County Comprehensive and Transportation Plan and any comprehensive plan of a township or city as may be applicable. Okay, so just a limited number of conditions that staff has. The use is strictly personal. No commercial activity is to occur on the property. Can't be rented out for storage. It's, you know, it's got to be your own. And the floor of the structure must be at 1,347 feet above sea level or higher. And I was wondering on, lighting shall be minimal and oriented to avoid disturbance of neighboring properties. I don't know how close. Yeah, please come up to there, because I'm gonna ask you, sir, what are you looking for, now that we've established that you're gonna have electricity?
Yep.
You're gonna have a yard light, a building light on.
Probably not a yard light full-time anyway, but it's down, where this is located is actually down low, and neighboring properties, my neighbor to the west of me, Josh Olson, I'm lower than his property even, he couldn't probably even see, and there's tree cover throughout the whole area. It's heavy oaks and things like that in there, so I don't think there's gonna be a lot of light issues, and we're not gonna be having any sensitive lights or anything like that.
Because that, I know that we redid a building that went down, and somebody wanted a yard light on there, and that lasted 2 nights, and I turned it off because I lived there and I couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I want dark out my window.
Yeah, and you don't, the neighbors have yard lights, so farm lights, in their yard, so
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be any issue, but I don't even anticipate doing that, so.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or comments for the applicant?
Just real quick,
Sebastian?
number 4 in the finding of facts, that won't make any difference to him adding electricity to that now, just because it's talking about utilities being added. There's an NA there now. I just want to make sure there's no issues for him later on down the road.
I think we could just say that utilities, because electricity has already been run to the property. So we could change this finding if you agree to electrical utilities. The property is serviced by electricity.
But doesn't number 4 cover that? Adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide utilities, electricity?
Yep, it was just NA before.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to make sure he's clarified in case somewhere down the road, later years down the way, someone's like,
catch.
wait a second,
Good catch.
there's this.
Okay, I see what you're, okay,
Protection.
we're golden?
Good.
Okay,
Anything else?
thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I'm assuming one more question for you. Do you understand and can you abide by the 2 conditions that we have, that the staff has listed?
Yes. Jane, yes.
Okay. Look for a motion to deny or to issue the permit.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Motion by Jenny,
Second.
second by Kurt. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Permit is granted. Let's see, Matt, unfinished business?
No unfinished business, Mr. Chair.
And And under anything other than Ashley on the new business?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to note is for our December meeting, the county truth and taxation hearing was rescheduled to Tuesday, December 16th. That goes from 6 PM to 7 PM. And so I was hoping that maybe we could look at, we don't have any applications yet. We have one maybe potential that might be submitted, but looking at
It's also the not guaranteed to be an hour.
yes, yep. Looking at just rescheduling our time of our planning commission meeting to 7:30 start. Up potentially. Or we could just move it to January.
Well, I am not opposed to that.
I'm just gonna say, that's when the public typically comes and provides feedback. And so
Sure.
we've had nights where no one's shown up, and I mean, Sebastian knows this, you can have nights where lots of people show up, so I'd hate to have a conflict and.
Okay. We could, it would be difficult to reschedule to another time in December, but so we could just push to January if that's what the planning
So
commission.
then we are going to do the same thing we did at Board of Adjustment. Let's look at January 27th.
Yep, correct.
I'm fine.
Okay, I see some nods and, okay. And then regarding Ashley, we make a recommendation to the county commissioners, I'm assuming?
Yes, so Ashley has completed her first term and looking for reappointment, a recommendation for reappointment to her second term on the planning commission. I have spoken with her and she does wish to serve again for a second term. She's wishes she could be here tonight. One of her sons had a band concert, so conflict there, but
Okay.
Move to nominate Ashley for a second term.
A motion by Brad, seconded by Kurt to nominate Ashley for a second term. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried that we pass this on to the county commissioners. Anything else?
that's all that I have at this time, Mr. Chair, unless anyone else has anything that they want to add.
Well, I'm looking for that last motion of the night. Motion to adjourn made by Laura. Pardon? And a second?
Seconded.
Second by Kurt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.